High-fat diets have long been implicated in everything from clogged arteries to sluggish metabolisms, but one of their sneakier side gigs is their sabotage of your gut's immune system. Among the growing cast of microscopic villains and heroes in the digestive tract, IL-22 stands out as a somewhat unsung protector. It's a cytokine, a kind of molecular bouncer, that helps maintain the barrier integrity of your gut lining, recruits immune cells to handle microbial troublemakers, and nudges your epithelial cells to regenerate. But saturated fats, those tasty and treacherous molecules found in everything from bacon cheeseburgers to buttery pastries, seem to have an unfortunate knack for quieting IL-22's voice. In scientific terms, they suppress its expression. In practical terms, they leave your gut unguarded and your immune system with its pants down. Here's the uncomfortable part. Your intestinal lining isn't just a passive wall, it's a living, breathing immune organ. And IL-22 is one of its most vocal defenders. Produced by a subset of immune cells, including innate lymphoid cells and Th17 cells, IL-22 helps seal the gap between the outside world and your bloodstream. It instructs gut epithelial cells to produce antimicrobial peptides, strengthen tight junctions between cells, and regenerate faster after injury or infection. Without sufficient IL-22, the lining becomes leaky, inflamed, and much more susceptible to an entire circus of pathogenic bacteria, inflammatory cytokines, and autoimmune misfires. Saturated fats, unfortunately, appear to interrupt this delicate immune choreography. Mouse studies and emerging human data suggest that diets rich in saturated fats diminish IL-22 levels while simultaneously boosting pro-inflammatory mediators like IL-1 ESET and TNF-alpha. Translation: they push your gut toward a more inflammatory, less regulated state. Think of it as trading a disciplined orchestra for a punk band high on sugar and resentment. The harmony of gut immunity becomes discordant, loud, and prone to unnecessary flare-ups. What makes this worse is that the damage isn't limited to one part of the intestine. IL-22 plays a systemic role in gut barrier health, and when it's suppressed, the result is a weakening of immune tolerance. That means even the normal, friendly bacteria in your gut can start triggering exaggerated immune responses. This contributes to the development of conditions like inflammatory bowel disease, obesity-related metabolic dysfunctions, and even neurological issues via the gut-brain axis. In other words, too much cheese and steak might not just upset your stomach, they could be staging a mutiny across your entire body. You'd think the body would have a backup plan. And to some extent it does. Other cytokines and immune pathways try to compensate. But IL-22's particular role in epithelial regeneration and barrier integrity is tough to replace. Imagine firing your only plumber and expecting a local electrician to stop sewage from flooding your basement. That's the immunological equivalent of what happens when saturated fat shuts down IL-22. And now, the funny, but not really, warning. If your idea of a balanced diet involves an equal distribution of cream cheese on both halves of a bagel, your gut is probably filing internal HR complaints. Excess saturated fat isn't just clogging arteries, it's instigating an insurrection in your microbiome, weakening the peacekeeping forces, and letting pro-inflammatory factions run the show. If you've ever wondered why after certain meals your stomach feels like it's negotiating the terms of surrender, IL-22 suppression might be part of the answer. Of course, not all fats are guilty. Monounsaturated fats and polyunsaturated fats, like those found in olive oil, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish, actually promote IL-22 and support gut immune harmony. These healthier fats are like sending reinforcements to your immune system, not a wrecking ball to your intestinal wall. But saturated fats, in high quantities and without fiber-rich foods to buffer their effects, are essentially bribing your immune cells to look the other way while pathogens and inflammation storm the gates. So while it's tempting to downplay the risks of that second helping of brisket or that buttery croissant, your gut's IL-22 production might beg to differ. There's no need to panic at every pat of butter, but if your daily diet leans more toward fat-fueled pleasure than fiber-fueled function, your immune system might be quietly waving a white flag. Or worse, preparing to launch a full-scale autoimmune uprising. Either way, your gut would appreciate if you'd stop using it as a deep fryer.